Hey everybody, and welcome to EGI2's welcome to EGI2's U Game Reviews 1. Welcome to EGI2's U Game Reviews 1. I hope everything sounds okay. There seems to be a little bit of a echo on my part, but let me just see if I can. What the hell's going on there? Maybe if I switch my I'm just hearing you're hearing a second smaller Robbie is what you're saying. Fruity Spruce, Catherine Thunderglass. We can also hear that echo. Okay. Second smaller Robbie is what you're saying. Fruity Spruce, Catherine Thunderglass. We can also hear that echo. Okay. I do have a new mic. I got one of these things. If you can see that, it's one of these red things that sort of went the opposite direction of where I was before. I got one of these things. If you can see that, it's one of these red things that sort of went the opposite direction of where I was before. And I was hoping that would I'm just trying to like make everything as simple as possible. But somehow there's still this bloody echo. So make everything as simple as possible. But somehow there's still this bloody echo. So toasty. So there's that, and let me see if I can. Is the audio? It might be coming through my headphones. So there's that, and let me see if I can. Is the audio? It might be coming through my So I don't think I can hear the echo anymore. As long as you guys can hear me, then I think then we're A-okay, good to go. That's worthy of Toasty popping up every once in a while. Glad to see that. And let's see what's... Got one more thing to do. And what is that thing I was supposed to do? The music is much louder now, so that's whoa, how did that happen? Yeah, that shouldn't have happened like that. Okay. For some reason when I plugged in this older set of headphones, it bumped the audio way up, which is novel. So let me know right now if the sound, if the audio sounds good, if the microphone sounds clear, if we're good to go. Because we've got, hey, Everything Now show, nice to see you in the chat. It's nice to see a friendly face. We've got a great show for you this afternoon, this early evening. I don't know what happened with the description of the channel description got all jacked up. It's got all these weird signs on it. But how long are you uploading tonight? We'll be uploading for a couple more hours. I do have to go to the. Actually, I want to make sure that everybody's. I want to make sure that the chat box is as big as it possibly can be. Because I want to make sure everyone can see. You know, you try to do as much as you can, and things just always end up being a little bit more complicated than you're hoping. And one last thing I'll just say here. Do 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 So Vague Plague is going rock climbing. I'm going swimming. If there's anybody that's going hiking, and then I think that we've got that's like the full thing. That's the all. I guess if somebody was going hang gliding, that would be the full elemental run. Does everybody? Can everybody hear me? Okay. Does the microphone sound all right? I've got a bus to catch. The bus is going to take me to the public pool. Taking public transit to a public pool is what we like to call the way God intended. So Razorhead Baby went hiking today, so that's a good sign. The microphone looks like I might have actually found a good microphone that I can live with for the time being, and my ears don't hurt. These are decent sized headphones. They don't pinch my head. The problem with the previous, you see, Joe Botnick still hears a tiny echo. Where is that echo? Where could that echo be coming from? Microphone right here. That's me. Microphone. Go to computer. Computer program. Receive microphone. Where could that possibly be going? Oh, I figured it out. It's because I had the Twitch window sound on. Okay, so this is EGI2's U Game Reviews 1. Welcome to the show. This is a call-in show. So if you're thinking, if you've got a game that you were looking to review, then please call in as soon as you feel as soon as the spirit moves you, because this is the name of the game. You call me. You review your game, and then we hopefully get call work. Call work. Hello?
Hello.
Who is this?
I'm here.
Joe, is that you?
This is me. This is Joe Botnick.
Okay, you're sounding a little bit. The call you are sounding a little bit quiet. So let me see if I can get that volume up a little bit. But people in the chat can say
Okay.
Well.
I'll talk a bit for some volume testing. I'm gonna check.
I'm gonna turn down the volume here. There we go. Music got loud. Music got quiet. So wait, somehow when you called in, Joe, the music got louder.
No, it's trying to drown me out in all of my expert opinions.
Oh my goodness gracious, Joe. I feel like there's so many knobs, and there's so many things that can be twisted and mutated against my will. And all I've been trying to do for this entire while I've been trying to get something that happens when we're not doing the main show, I'm trying to just get something going that doesn't require as many button presses.
Well, I think this is probably going to be a good format. I think everything's set up nicely now. Everything seems to be working. I think we might be onto a winner.
We might be onto a winner, Joe. And so now that we've got you here tonight, let's hear about what game you would like to review live here on EGI2's U Game Reviews 1.
I would like to review, it might come as no surprise, I would like to review Body Harvest, the 1998 N64 game. Oh, are we still not getting graphics? Did we? I saw we got the frame drive one. Oh, there it is.
So yeah, of course there's a delay on my side, and then anytime we come back to the main screen, then the toasty guy pops up, which is a lot of fun.
Toasty. I like that. I like that.
Breaking news.
Body Harvest.
So breaking news. This just in. Joe Botnick is reviewing Body Harvest live on twitch.tv/EGI2's U Game Reviews 1. This has never been done before on EGI2. We've never had Joe Botnick review Body Harvest on EGI2, but tonight it's going to happen. Joe, take it away.
Thanks, Robbie. Back to you. Body Harvest, it was released in 1998 by DMA, who would go on to become Rockstar Studios, famous Rockstar Studios, British developers. The game is set in the distant future of 2016, where over the last 100 years, humanity has been hunted to the brink of extinction by bloodthirsty aliens. And Adam Drake is the one man who can stop them with his tiny laser pistol that he reloads like a shotgun.
And we don't see a lot of it. We don't get a lot of bad Adam Drake backstory, do we? He's sort of a blank slate onto which we get to sort of put a lot of our own what do you call it? We get to project onto Adam Drake.
Indeed, he's one of the silent protagonists that got lost in the shuffle. I feel like nobody's talking about Adam Drake, and I feel like it's time for him to come back.
Do you think it's time for him to come back? You'd like to see what Joe Botnick is saying here on live on EGR2 tonight. It's not quite tonight where I am, but it's tonight where you are, Joe. I know that to be true. Then what you're trying to tell me, though, is that you want to see a fully remastered, a fully revamped, I want to say reharvested
version of Body Harvest. I'd love that, if not a full-blown sequel, because I don't want to spoil too much, but it's open for a sequel, so there's still a chance.
Well, that sounds pretty toasty.
It's very toasty.
Toasty to me. There he goes. You have to press the button a couple times for it to pop up, Joe.
Okay.
Well. So you're sitting in the pitch meeting, Joe. You're looking at this. You're looking at everybody. Everybody's looking back at you. These blank gray stares. These gray sleeves. They've come down from their towers. These ashy skinned sons of bitches, and they're looking at you, Joe, and they're saying, what is it going to be? What's this kid going to pitch? What's the big revamp look like? What's the cover art going to look like? Who's going to do the physical re-release? Are you going to go with collector's editions? What are your thoughts?
I would say Body Harvest is this wonderful third-person shooter with wide open environments that would look great on modern hardware. I think Adam Drake is the quintessential video game protagonist, and to see him live and in charge in the year 2024 is what everyone's asking for. I think a statue of Adam Drake, with his leg up on like the skull of an alien bug, posing heroically. I think you mentioned the cover art. I think the cover of the cartridge, which I have in front of me, is wonderful and does not need to be changed at all. It looks amazing. So they could just use that for the cover art. And the collector's edition with the Adam Drake statue, I'd buy that in an absolute heartbeat. You don't have to remaster the sound. I mean, it's wonderful. The soundtrack is beautiful.
Good soundtrack.
It's got a wonderful soundtrack. It's quite distinct. It's got anxious piano notes and tense strings for the quieter moments, and a more dramatic, brassy affair with like military-style marching drums for the action segments. It's like you don't need to edit that at all. It's wonderful.
One of the things that people don't talk about that much, and I think what's great about Body Harvest is the amount of the amount and type of vehicles that you can pilot it's quite extensive. I would say more extensive than even the first GTA games.
You've got cars, you've got vans, you've got planes, you've got boats, you've got tanks. It's when I was thinking about this game before I played it again recently, I wasn't remembering so much about the vehicles, but there's so many of them. Now that I've played it again after so many years, I didn't realize. In my mind's eye, I had little Adam Drake in his fluorescent orange outfit, like wandering around, in these buildings, talking to, the civilian populace. But there's so much vehicle action that I completely forgotten about.
The Dreams Lately says the Dalai Lama, Joe. The Dalai Lama gives mosquitoes 3 chances before he flicks them. What's the connection there?
I think the aliens in Body Harvest, they don't harvest all at once. The way the aliens work in Body Harvest is they're on a comet that they don't have control over, so they're just riding it. And it's only when they're nearby Earth that they attack and they harvest the bodies. And then they're gone again, and they come back in like 25 years or something like that. So maybe it's like, give them a chance. Maybe they're only going to harvest a couple of times, but they harvest 3 or even 4 times. So that's the point you flick.
You flick. So you're saying you give the bugs a chance to get settled on your various islands there. I remember Java was one of the islands. I can't remember all the other ones, but I know Java was in there. So get them a chance to kind of get their little machine going, and once you've been able to spot them and do your own kind of an intel, then you sweep in with your truck, and you bash them to smithereens.
Exactly, just as the Dalai Lama taught. And though I did see Mossy Lump mention in the chat that a harvest where Drake would befriend the bugs, I would be open to that. It's not really in the spirit of the game, but I would like to see. I mean, times have changed, so I would like to see more of a body harvest, kind of like maybe dating sim or something. You know, where you just kind of get close to the aliens and you understand their point of view and why they need to harvest so many bodies, and maybe help them out with that.
Well, you know, the thing that I'm always thinking about, Joe, is like, what the hell? Especially when it comes to mosquitoes, I'm just like, what's the evolutionary purpose of these things? You know, like
I'm not entirely.
Coyotes.
Yeah.
I get that. That's another one that pests me somewhat often. Raccoons. I guess I can't really understand raccoons much, besides the fact that they just look kind of like. You know, they just look like kind of like people. You know, like some.
Yeah, at least.
Like if you see
they're cute.
If you see a raccoon like stand up on its hind legs and then point at you from a long distance away, you know, you can imagine a person making that same sort of gesture.
Yeah, they're very human-like, not at all like the bugs. Although the bugs in Body Harvest do clone Adam Drake and create an evil version of him called, I wrote his name down somewhere.
Drew
it's really
says
cool.
Mosquitoes just want to live, and incidentally, their larvae feed fish. So that's helpful.
That's very helpful. What is his name? He's got an evil name, and it sounds really cool. Wait, hang on a second.
Joe Bonnick, a long time ago, I wrote a comic strip, and in the comic strip, Adam Drake is waiting at a diner by himself for a blind date, and then the blind date comes, and it's none other than the Samus Aran.
Okay.
And then Samus Aran comes in, and that's the end of the comic strip.
I would have read that. Is there any interest in?
I mean,
maybe that could have been included in the collector's edition.
Yeah. I mean, you kind of just did read it.
Oh, okay. But I mean, you could like extend that. There's a lot of meat.
What about it? What is it about Body Harvest that, because people keep coming back to it? Is it just the fact that it's a kind of evolutionary step to the open world games that we have now, and that's why people keep coming back to it, or is it some sort of a fear? You're looking at your life and you think, I wish I could go back to the time before the bugs came, or before the bills came, or before, in your case, before Brexit or something like that. Maybe there was something I could have done, some kind of vehicle I could have driven, some kind of mission structure, or some sort of visit to some far off country that would have set this whole thing right, and never would we have the tragedy and the situation that we have now.
There is a strong desire to go back to simpler times, but I don't think Body Harvest, you do have that kind of exercising the demons sort of thing going on, but generally it's a very eerie, unsettling game. It kind of feels like you're playing a living nightmare. So it's not that much different from our current times in that regard. But I think people do keep coming back to it because it's unique. I think there's, at the time there wasn't anything else quite like it. It was that evolution to open world you were talking about. Looking back, it is quite janky now, but it is nice to look back, even if at the time it wasn't so good. Maybe at the time we thought it was good, and that's kind of the feeling we're missing.
Oh, well, you know, and one of the things I want to point out, though, and maybe you brushed on this a little bit when you're talking about how the game is a little tougher to look at nowadays than it was, is the amount of fog that there is in the game. And thank you for the raid, butter mutt squash. What's that?
Thank you, Butter Mutt Squash.
Oh, I see. Back to you, butter mutt squash. Robbie, explain the show to the Raider. Thank you very much for that, Giovanni H. This is EGI2's first attempt at doing a full call-in game review show where you, the callers, review games at me and I respond. So I basically I'm giving you guys the platform, and what we are talking about right now is Joe Botnick from the UK is called in to review Body Harvest on the Nintendo 64 and offering some of his I would say delightful insights into the game, what makes the game special, and where he would like to see if he would like to see the game reharvested for modern consoles.
Let's do it. I think it would translate really, really well. I mean, it has cheat codes. Do games have cheat codes anymore? I don't remember many cheat codes
I feel like games
happening.
don't even need cheat codes anymore, Joe. I feel like
That's true.
I feel like most games have gotten quite easy.
But it's the fun cheat codes as well. Like Body Harvest had give aliens fat legs. You know.
They had aliens fat legs.
Yeah, there's a fat legs cheat code, which was you had to put your name in as I cheat, and then you put in left A, right, and down, and then the aliens would have fat legs. And let's bring that back.
All right, well, that sounds good to me, Joe. And in terms of what was I going to say? What was I going to say? What was I going to say, Joe? What was I going to say to you right now? What was I going to say?
You were going to ask about the Nintendo connection.
Can everybody hear me correctly?
How have I sounded?
You sound great. You sound great to me. I want to make sure that I'm looking down at the microphone here, and I'm just wondering if there's a. I feel like the desktop audio says it's peaking, but it doesn't sound quite great. Everything sounds good. Everything sounds 5%. Mossy Lump says Robbie up 5%. What do you think about that, Joe?
I think that's chat's rarely wrong about these things, in my opinion.
A lot better at this than I am. So let's say 5%.
Well,
so up to let's give it. I'm gonna goose it a little bit higher, a little more like 8%.
Juice the numbers.
Joe, that's it. I mean, here's the thing: is that I think that there's so many of these great Nintendo 64 games that just didn't make much of a splash, and people still talk about them. There are these cult favorites. There's of course Body Harvest. There's Space Station Silicon Valley. There's we're getting these interesting re-releases of the Quake and Quake 2 N64 versions that are getting piled into these Night Dive remasters. I'd love to see something. I'd love to see more love to.
These kind of games. I mean, the
Hybrid
Nintendo Switch, sure. The Nintendo Switch has the N64 catalog on there now, and it's very small, and I feel like there's a lot you could put on there that would give people the incentive to subscribe to Switch Online or whatever it is. I'd be there in a heartbeat.
Absolutely. And Joe, thank you so much for your call.
Thank you very much. Should I grade the game? Would you like some points?
Oh sure, yeah. Let's do. I don't have any buttons for points.
Okay. Well,
we'll just say yes or no. So, I'm guessing that because you made the call, you described the game, you've said a lot of things about it being good or not. That it's probably a yes from you for Body Harvest.
It's absolutely a yes from me, and you should check it out, and you should all get Rockstar to make Body Harvest 2 or Body Harvest Reharvested instead of Grand Theft Auto 6.
Absolutely, and so that's a yes from me. It's a yes from Joe. Chat, if you wanna have your say here, I'd love to know if Chat thinks that Body Harvest also deserves a yes or a no. People are talking about Harvester, of course, Harvester being the PC CD-ROM horror game Harvester. Joe, you played that one?
Of course. Roadrunner cartoon, absolutely.
And guess what? Looks like chat's coming in, and it's coming in as a pretty strong yes. So congratulations to you, Joe.
Thank you, chat. Thank you, everybody.
All right, Joe. I'm gonna say goodbye to you. Oh,
Toasty.
I'm gonna say goodbye to you, and we'll talk again soon, I'm sure.
Back to you, Robbie. Talk to you later.
All right, back to you, Joe. Next up, we've got Caller. You're on the air with EGI2's U game reviews. I think I probably cropped this a little tight. What do you think, Caller?
What's the question again? Give it me one more time, Robbie.
Oh, hold on, something weird's happening. My computer just started randomly hitting the 0 key.
Oh.
Caller, what's the score? Were you a yes for Body Harvest also?
I hear good things. I never had the privilege or the pleasure to play it myself.
Well, you got to check it out. It's a fun game. It's a party game. Party people love to play this game, and see where if the bodies cannot, if we could stop the bodies from being harvested by the bugs by using things like pickup trucks and biplanes and I want to say just slow tractors.
Joe Botnick in the chat. Slow tractors confirmed.
Slow tractors are confirmed. You're telling me that Joe Botnick is in the chat confirming if there is a slow tractor.
Yeah, he's got to be.
He seems to be the resident body harvest expert.
Joe Botnick confirmed on the slow tractors.
All right, sounds good. So, caller, who are you? Where are you calling from? And what's your game review?
It's Cody from sunny Cape Coral, Florida.
Cody from Cape Coral, Florida. It's lovely to hear from you. It's lovely. I took my headphones off for a second because the headphones were perched in a weird way. It was making my head a little bit itchy, but I'm back and I'm listening to what you're saying right now. What's your game review?
Well, I haven't seen your forehead in a while. That's a little surprise there.
It's a high peak. I've had a widow's peak since I was a teenager. And I don't mean to hide it from people, but there it is. It goes all the way. It's making its way to the back of the skull. There it is. Eventually, it will turn and curve around, and then I'll just have this weird patch up front.
I've always appreciated your hair, Robbie.
Thanks, Cody. That really I've always been self-conscious about my hair, and when people say nice things to me about my hair, it does make my day. I'm not going to lie about it.
Yeah, take that one with you. So yeah.
So what are your thoughts, Cody? What games have you been reviewing on your own in your own life in Cape Coral, Florida? Are things going well for you that you can actually take some time in that terrible place in which you live and kick your feet up maybe on something that's been dried out in the sun before the rains come back and soak it again and cause it to grow all sorts of weird lichens and bugs? Come and then of course the cops are all corrupt and the cops come and they throw tear gas canisters in your yard trying to flush you out of your house and making your life hell. God Almighty, Joe, Cody.
I tell you what, that was a good start to a hype train story. I mean, I would love to hear that, but I do have a game review.
Right.
But I don't think no. How about a Necromunda hired gun?
Necromunda hired
from
gun.
2001.
I just had that. I just installed that on my Steam Deck, Cody. So I'm very glad to hear about it.
Okay. First of all, do you know what franchise that game is a part of?
Absolutely. It's Warhammer 40K.
Don't spoil it, chat. Thank you. Yes, sir. That was the main reason why I got it. I've been reading the heck out of some Horus Heresy novels on my lunch breaks at work.
Where do you work, Cody? Have you ever told me where you work?
I work at a printing place. I'm the sign guy at a printing place.
Well, that's not too bad. Not many opportunities for the cops come in and fire tear gas canisters into the place where you work.
I can get pretty political sometimes, but yeah, no, I guess not.
Fair point. Do you print shirts there, Cody? Are you a shirt printer also?
No, we don't do shirts. We don't do cups.
Just big plastic signs for places that sell hot dogs and invite people to try out new laundry machines at the laundromat.
A lot of real estate.
Oh, of course, absolutely. Everything's being built upon, isn't it? And
Cape
Coral's one of those places where a lot of concrete's been poured, a lot of the swamp's been drained. Whatever jungle's left has been mostly just relegated to the areas around stormwater retention ponds.
I mean, it's just lousy with canals. It's a labyrinth of land cut with canals. It's crazy.
But in that,
it's like Venice.
But it's like Venice, but with the blooms of algae caused by grass feeding. What do you call it? Grass food.
Oh, it's vile. It's vile looking water. It's horrible. It'll probably melt your skin off your hand.
Good God Almighty! Don't get any ideas. Get drunk one night with your buddies, going out painting the town red, being nuts as hell. Go jump in a canal. Don't do it. It's happened. I've seen it happen to people before. They get all sorts of weird bumps that don't go away for years at a time.
It's a local saying around here in Cape Coral. If a guy makes you mad, you raise your fist and say, "You go jump in a canal."
Oh God, that'd be
we say that.
Mighty good way to kill somebody. You probably deserve. If you had a kind of a mind, Cody, and I don't want to give you any ideas, but we used to do a lot of crab trapping up in North Florida there.
Crab trapping?
Yeah. Put some raw chicken, put some spoiled like shrimp or something like that into a big crab trap, throw it out in the Gulf of Mexico, and come back.
Crab trapping.
Yeah, crab trapping.
Gotcha.
I mean, I'm just gonna say, if you ever had any enemies, because I know that you South Florida boys get into all sorts of business, all the gangs and all of the different international cartels with their little shops set up on the canals and in the Miami River and whatnot.
Land disputes, land feuds.
Unbelievable stuff. I mean, I guess that's why they're making that GTA game sit there, isn't it? You make what you know, I suppose. Sorry, looks like I think in my excitement of talking about this, I was getting a little bit too far away from the microphone, but I'm back.
Okay, so I got Necromunda Hired Gun, and I've been playing.
Let's hear it.
I hate to jump the gun with the scores here, but this would be a prime candidate for a 6 or 7 out of 10 game review.
Oh, I'd love to hear it.
Probably
what
a little.
What makes you say that?
Listen, did you enjoy the newer Doom games, the later era Doom games?
Yes, Cody, I did.
You want some big guns. You want to slide from a sprinting. You want to slide from a sprint. You got that. You want a little grappling hook. We got you covered. This one kind
of like a quick fatality. What do you quick kills, insta kills?
So that is the one thing that takes a couple points off of Hired Gun. You know how those things felt like really like good and like visceral and like crunchy in Doom.
Oh, good God!
You got the same thing,
Cody. We got to take a quick break because we do have a hype train coming right now. We are going to try and do the Robbie stories for the hype train, but I'm going to keep you on the line. If you hear anything about the hype train from the hype train that you're interested in, then please feel free to ask me questions. But let's dive right into the hype train. And this is inspired since we are talking about crime syndicates. And we are talking about crime syndicates and tropical places. I want to go back to what I guess would have been the period of time in Indonesia, right after the Dutch Empire had left behind a kind of fractured and I would say hobbled economy. It was primed for takeover by the Suharto regime, and yet there were still people out there doing their best to create the multi-ethnic democracy that we see in Indonesia today. Although I guess based on the last election, there is some concern that the Indonesian democracy nascent Indonesian democracy could be in some trouble, but he hasn't. Subianto hasn't quite taken power yet, so we can't judge the man until he actually gets into the office and starts to do some lawmaking, Cody. So in the spirit of the sort of the period between the end of the Dutch East Indies and the beginning of Indonesia under Suharto, there was a young woman who lived in an apartment building who began to see just she had just moved into her new apartment. She was a patriot. She had gotten a job in a government ministry. She was going to be part of this new Indonesia. She wanted to serve her country and be a civil servant in this brand new society that they were building from the ground up. And she moves into this new apartment, and what does she find in her brand new apartment? But it's a giant eyeball, Cody. A giant floating eyeball,
okay.
right? Like much like the eyeballs that we see in the newer Doom games, also similar to the beholders of previous generations of fantasy and fantasy action RPGs, turn-based strategy games, dungeon crawlers, and tabletop
Terrifying.
RPGs. So the beholder in her apartment, just as she's moved from the village to
I train level 2, Robbie.
level 2. So she's just moved from the countryside to the big city, to Jakarta, and she's just found herself with a roommate who is a giant beholder eyeball. And she says to this guy, and she says to the eyeball, and she says, what does she say, Cody? She says something about the. She's like, well, first of all, she's like, sorry, I didn't realize this place was a cooperative. And the eyeball doesn't say anything because it's just the big eye, and it doesn't even it doesn't blink because it doesn't have a lot of skin. It has a little bit of skin, and the skin kind of just comes off the side of the eyeball and kind of just like ripples a little bit. So it's and that causes it, and that's the way that the eyeball can speak is by through these weird little skin vibrations.
Is it dry or is it moist?
It's extremely dry, Jody. It's extremely dry, and it is that's part of the problem. Is that in the time period during the sort of the troubles that led up to the end of the Dutch East Indies, let's say, I don't know what you would call it exactly. The Dutch control over the East Indies, over Indonesia. That eyeball was left on its own from its original owner for a very long time. Well, they had colonized it, but then they ran the country like a fief for a long time. But once all the rebels and the how it goes with this kind of post-colonial story. We've all it starts with a call for representative democracy, a great opening up of civil society, and it ends with not always, but oftentimes it does end with some bloodshed. And it also ends with the owner, the person the old man who used to live in the apartment, dying in a firefight. He had nothing to do with the firefight. He was just out for a stroll. He was going to the grocery store, the green grocers, and he was just shot in the back of the head by a sniper. We never find out if it was a mercenary or if it was one of the freedom fighters. But the old man died. But his eye made it back to the apartment.
You've seen Amina and Catherine Thundergloss gift subbing all day.
Thank you for the Catherine Thundergloss for the gift sub, and I hope you're enjoying this story. This is of course this is kind of a more modern fable because we are talking about 20th century sort of political situations in Southeast Asia in the post-war period, in the Cold War period, I guess you might as well say. And we're talking about an old man old man who died, but I survived. Not me, I. Just if my eye popped out of my head, I'd been shot on the street, and my eye popped out of my head and went back to my apartment and just stayed there for a very long time. And so nobody was coming by, no one was feeding it, no one was spraying it with water, and so the eye had gotten quite dried out and was very crusted and red, and with lots of the veins, of course, were very prominent on the eye, and that eye was just a terrible thing to look at. But this young lady, she understood because she could kind of understand the warbling. Again, there was like skin that would pop out of the side of the eye and kind of create these little bits of sound waves, and that was its language. And she understood the language because back in her village, back in the countryside, she lived on one of the smaller islands in the Indonesian archipelago. She had experienced various floating body parts, ears mostly. It was ears instead of the ears had if I were to, Cody, if I was to grab your ear and rip it off of your head, there would be a big chunk of skin and maybe some viscera on the back. But these ears were just regularly smooth on the back. But what was similar was that there was little bits of hair that would come out.
Nisox just gets that level 3.
Oh, thank you, Nisox.
Nisox was slam dunking that.
Thank you for Cody for covering the situation in the chat right now while I try to tell this very interesting story about talking eyeball Jakarta in the 1950s. Just a wild time, and they made a Mel Gibson movie about Suharto, didn't they, Cody?
Yeah, I believe they did.
And it was like, what was that one? And who else was in it besides? He was. I remember he was a reporter for an Australian newspaper, and that was a different kind of time, wasn't it? When just smaller newspapers could have foreign correspondents.
Yeah, the brown vests.
The brown vests, exactly. The brown vests, and Mel Gibson was one of them, and he was doing his damnedest, and he had a assistant that would work with him, kind of this kid that would follow him around, and it was a woman, an American actress who played a Chinese. I think a kind of a middle-aged Chinese man. It was a very strange casting call. And then that woman went on to be in David Lynch's Dune. But besides the point, because of the ears and the hair that would come out of the ears and vibrate, she understood that sometimes when there's a disembodied body part like this, where there's an extremity or some other larger thing like intestines or just like a full leg, these are parts. These are some kind of a soul or some kind of a fragment of a soul is trapped inside of it, and so it's going to do whatever it can to communicate with the people that it misses, because it misses being around people, because we're a human race is a social, we're a big social community. Robbie, were there trains in Jakarta for the eyeball? No, well, of course there were trains in Jakarta, but the eyeball stayed in the apartment because it was, of course, didn't know where else to do, and it had died in a firefight. The body from which the eyeball had come had died in a firefight. So, and it hadn't, the television, it couldn't turn on the television, so it didn't know that the Dutch had left and that Indonesia was newly independent. So it didn't have a lot of understanding of what the current events were in Jakarta at the time. So, and also the ears lived on one of these less developed islands, which were I don't want to say a primitive state, but it was, a more traditional state of village life for the Indonesian people. So no trains on that island with the ears, but what the woman did recognize was that because this was a spiritual experience that she was having with the eyeball, that the eyeball was trying to communicate with her. So rather than understanding what the warbling was doing, she understood that there was a warbling, and then over time they were able to begin a kind of a general communication by, she would say, if you want me to turn on the television, you can warble the upper tip of the little skin flap you've got, and that'll be a yes. And then if it's a lower skin flap, then that'll be a no. And then if there's if you want me to spray you with water, then all you have to do is just kind of do a kind of like a wavy kind of motion over the whole skin flap. So I'm just saying that they had kind of a understanding.
Well, we've established she understands the eyeball.
Well, she understands
what he's trying to say.
She just knew that she needed to go just some basic. She say yes, no, and then what's the basic need here? Because she can look at the eye and say to herself, we don't need. I know you don't need to eat, at least not in a traditional way. So I don't need to worry about, like, if you're hungry. I know if you're thirsty, I can put water in a spray bottle. And then, of course, as time went on, she would do nice things to the water, put some lavender in it or something like that. Anyway,
is that good for eye? Can you do that?
Lavender?
Lavender and water?
In fact, it caused quite a situation, because when she sprayed the eyeball with the lavender water, it caused the eyeball to drip painfully. This kind of like a yellow viscous started coming out of all the various whatever's the pores of an eyeball. I don't know what that's called, but that seeped.
Oof.
So that wasn't good. So what she learned, she stopped trying to put funny stuff into the water and would just spray it with water whenever it would get dried out.
And that's Hype Train.
And that's the Hype Train. Obviously, we can't continue with the story because, despite the fact that we did get some good, we got a lot of good content out of that one. But I just want to say that the moral of the story has not actually been reached yet. The moral of the story had to do with the fact that once she started to pull the eye out of the apartment and show it to people, that people started to see themselves in the eye, and decided to wanted to know how they could do the same thing, and so people started pulling out their own eyes.
Oh, oh.
So that was that. So it was more of a building to a sort of a moral about if you're having a supernatural spiritual experience with something, doesn't mean that you need to try to become the thing that is providing you with the experience.
I don't know if we're still doing the arts, but I mean, a street full of people just tearing out their own eyeballs. That sounds like money on the table.
I mean, I'm just saying we're not doing the arts tonight, but we will be doing the arts on Monday. So people have responded well to some of the stories, and this gave me an opportunity to talk a little bit about the Indonesian independence movement, and I'll appreciate that.
I only got a little bit to say about hired gun. Then I'll give the line back to you.
Okay,
is that all right, Robbie?
That sounds great.
Okay. So for one thing, it takes place in what's called Hive City, and in the darkness of the far future, most of the human population just lives in these towering complexes. They're like a Kowloon walled city, if you know what that is.
Yeah,
do you know what that is, Robbie?
I've been to Kowloon myself, and I got to imagine that it looked pretty crowded when I was there, and that was long after they had taken the walled city down.
So there used to be just a giant apartment complex where just OSHA violations were just thrown to the wind. People lived on top. People were bringing garden hoses to reach water lines and all sorts of crazy. So that's pretty much what the darkness of the far future of the year 40,000 is, right?
Absolutely.
And so this is a place with no water. Water is refiltrated. You won't find nary a bathtub in a Hive City. Necromunda is the greatest of these.
Necromunda is the greatest of these.
Yeah, it's probably the biggest, most well-known Hive City in the entire goddamn galaxy, and there's not much water. There's some lava. There's a good amount of lava, industrial lava, but no water to speak of.
Well, you got so what the hell's going on in this game? I mean, this sounds crazy as hell.
So you get I guess you kind of just play more or less like a bounty hunter who gets a mission from some guys from upstairs. You always kind of gotta do what the guys upstairs tell you. Higher level of the Hive. They give you money to do shady work for them.
And who's the higher ups of this place? Is it the what is it called, the Space Marines people, or is it the orcs?
I would say it's the administratum. Like the paper pushers who get to live at the top of the towers there. And then there's also the who are the religious guys? The religious guys. I was just trying to
remember what the religious guys are. They're like, are they blue?
Joe Botnick knows.
Oh boy. What are they?
And in any case, it's. I'm gonna be honest with you. I kind of glossed over it.
Just call them the Blues.
Let's call them the Blues. Well, no. It's not a Space Marine and hired gun. No, Space Marines are off doing more important stuff in space.
And actually, I just realized a lot of the Space Marines have blue sigils, so that might not help. But if we just refer to them maybe as the clerical class, even though I know that the Space Marines also.
Yeah, the clerical class of Warhammer 40K. There's the administratum, who are the paper pushers, and then there's the ecclesiarchy. That's it. The ecclesiarchy.
Oh wow, that was
yeah, and they worship the emperor.
Yes.
Yeah, they worship the hell out of the emperor.
So
but I'm again
that's who's hiring the hired gun. That's who's the Necromunda hired gun is. That's the what do you call it? The thing that sets the plot in motion.
The Charlie to Necromunda's angel. Yeah. So there's a dog. I want to talk about that. There's a cyber mastiff that throughout the game you can upgrade, right? Mm-hmm. Starts out as a pretty regular looking mastiff, just like a healthy boy. He's a good boy.
Good boy.
But as you give him these upgrades, you're just kind of like mashing mechanical parts onto him. like you're making him run faster and you're making his bite do more damage, but like you're giving him a metal jaw and you're like amputating his legs and giving him metal. I didn't know that that's what I was signing up for when I was upgrading my dog. I didn't know that once I conferred my skill point to the dog that it would start becoming like some sort of like body horror image, you know. And
keep dog regular is what you're trying to say.
Keep the meat on the dog at the end of the day is what I would.
Keep the dog regular and let a good boy stay good, and don't corrupt it with magics and cybernetic implants.
Oh, and the melee executions, like I was saying before, kind of I hate to use a brown word, but kind of limp dick, kind of some limp dick melee kills there.
Good gracious.
They heal ya, but you know, kind of weak on those. So I guess that's all I had to say about that.
Well, I guess it's more of a log than it is a brown word, but we'll let it pass for the evening, since this is we haven't quite set the rules down for EGI2's U Game reviews.
No, all right.
So what's it?
Rating pending.
What's this son of a gun? What's his deal? Like, he's been hired by the ecclesiales.
Ecclesiarchy.
Fruity Spruce says logs are brown. Logs are not always brown. Logs are sometimes white. Sometimes the trees are rather green. I've seen green. I've got these pale green trees. Not in my backyard, but somewhere in the near area.
Okay, I was just looking over the plot again. No, he gets hired by two other bounty hunters to help them find an artifact, and then he gets betrayed, and then now I guess he's going after the guys who... Yeah, like I said, I kind of glossed over the plot a little bit.
Revenge of the subcontractors.
Oh my god, that would have been a beautiful alternate... That would have been a beautiful subtitle. Necromunda, Hired Gun, Revenge of the
Subcontractors. Get Games Workshop on. I guess they probably don't develop their own games, do they?
Oh, well, no, they do farm it out to a lot of companies, but they keep that IP on a tight leash.
Well, you say that now, but I've played some real stinkers when it comes to the Warhammer 40K universe.
Oh, it's hit or miss for sure.
Warhammer 40K. Remember Fire Warrior?
Yeah, that was a little bit of a wet fart of a game. If I can take it, I'm going brown again.
I don't. I mean, you don't have to go brown on it. I would say that it was like a passing breeze of a game. It was a game without substance. For me, at least. I mean, some people might have found some enjoyment in it, but I found myself quite bored by the. That was the one about the salamanders. Yes, vertical mammal. That was one that had.
No, it was no. It was about the Tau. It was about an alien. You were an alien. You were a Tau alien. They're kind of more like an Asiatic stereotype of an alien race. They have giant robots. They're basically when Games Workshop was trying to put Gundams into Warhammer, but.
Are you sure about that?
I'm very sure about that, Robbie. I couldn't be more sure about that.
I'm pretty sure it was something it had something to do with salamanders.
They might have that's Space Marine Legion, and they might have appeared to say hello to the Tau Man, but
oh man,
a Fire Warrior is the warrior caste of the Tau race. I know that for a fact.
Razorhead baby, I did get it wrong. Warhammer 40K is not. I have played apart from the first Dawn of War games and Fire Warrior. I really have not played a lot of Warhammer 40K. Although I do own, I've probably owned 5 times more of the Warhammer 40K games than I've actually been able to play.
It's a really fun rabbit hole to go down on YouTube.
So. We got the plot, we got the characters, we have the setting, we have the play mechanics. What's the review there, Cody?
Final score, I guess.
Final score. Let's do it.
Oof, that limp melee really takes it down a couple of shots. I'm gonna go for a 6-6 on this one.
6-6 out of but that to me sounds like that's a fairly positive experience. I mean, that's approaching 7.
It's coming up to a 7.
So even though the melee attack, even though the instant kills kind of thing doesn't seem like it's really panned out, even though Even though perhaps there's some monotony to the gameplay, I can imagine that
the menus are kind of whack. The interface with your inventory is kind of whack. Running back and forth from your hub to sell your loot is a little tedious, but the action's there, man, and it's pretty satisfying when it gets good.
There's a good gameplay loop when it comes to upgrading your dog and perhaps some of your weapons.
Correct.
Why does it stream? Vertical Mammal says, "Why does it stream where Robbie paints some minis sound?" Are they talking about the mini, like the March of the Minis?
No, he's talking about the Warhammer tabletop miniatures.
Oh, I can't stretch myself like that. I think I might have a seizure if I looked at something like that small.
I mean, it'd be murder on the eyes for sure. Trying to squint that hard.
I have trouble just when on a bad pollen day. Forget it if I'm dealing with the what's that? What are the miniatures made of? Pewter.
They're plastic now, but what would get you is the fumes of Citadel paints. That would really get to you.
No, thank you. I think I'll subcontract that out to Necromunda. Well, Cody. So it's 6.6 out of 10 from Cody to yes from me. I'm guessing it's a yes from chat. Not sure about that, but I'm going to go ahead and say it gets a yes because I do have a call coming in. I want to make sure I get that person on. Thanks, Cody, and stay safe.
Thank you, Robbie.
In that terrible place in which you live. Caller, you're on the air with EGI2's you game reviews. We just reviewed not Call of Duty. What was the other one? Warhammer 40K. Necromunda Gun for Hire, and Body Harvest, and we're on game number 3 for the evening. What's your game?
Back to you, Robbie. It's Gio from Texas.
Gio from Texas, nice to hear from you.
I am going to break out of the 2003 to 2011 range just a little bit here.
I think that we've already done that because I'm pretty sure Warhammer 40K Necromunda Gun for Hire came out in, I want to say 2019 or 20, and then
oh yeah, that's a modern game.
And then Body Harvest came out in 97, 98.
Yeah, so we're passed on both ends.
Yeah, so
right.
we've broken out fully. We're out of the paddock.
Okay, there's a couple that come to mind. I want to talk about Slayers X Terminal Aftermath Vengeance of the Slayer. Have you heard of this one?
Slayers Slayers X, is it a fighting game or is it like a 3D action game, kind of like a God of War style game? Is it either of those two things?
Have you heard of the game Hypnospace Outlaw?
Yes.
So it's a GeoCities internet simulator kind of thing where you go around and you moderate a forum in like the 90s, and it's a whole great time.
Right. Yes, of course.
So Slayers X is a spin-off game of that.
Huh.
And what's really fun about Slayers X is the premise is one of the characters in Hypnospace is named Zane, and it's a game Zane made up in high school. It's a Doom mod essentially. It's not a real Doom mod, but that's the premise. Is it is essentially
now I get where the Slayers thing comes from. Okay.
Yeah, so it's the name he gave it in high school. It's the themes he put into it. It's his notebook of ideas, but then remastered like 20 years or so in the future, where he actually finds the old files and compiles it and releases it, and it's real fun. It has a lot of heart. It feels like a project of its time. It's got that like boomer shooter kind of thing, kind of feel to it. Beautiful low poly, like all like brushwork buildings, and then billboard sprites.
Now, is it that kind of a look that's I feel like is becoming quite popular now? It's almost like if you took like Quake and overlaid Hotline Miami textures all over it.
No, it really does. It really does look like a Zoom mod. A Doom mod.
But it's not. But it's not like that kind of blown out color scheme.
I'm not sure about the
Because
Quake
I feel
style
like
color
when I think
scheme.
of Hypnospace Outlaw, I think a little bit that that's kind of like on a gradient with that type of a thing. There's God, what was that game? I'll remember it when it'll come to me for a second. Okay, so it's a Doom mod, but it's a Doom mod that's kind of set in, or it's kind of a fourth wall kind of game release.
Yeah, so it's the game that
It's
the
a
person
game
from
made
the story
by
made.
someone from Hypnospace Outlaw.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's the story he told about the characters he made up, and it sort of traverses in he said it partially in his real life neighborhood, but also partially there's aliens and superheroes and all sorts of fantasy elements. I know it's not really a Doom mod because you can look up and down it's made in Unity, but it's built to feel just like a Doom mod.
Got it. And it is, you said, kind of a boomer shooter style thing.
Yes, absolutely.
Get it up right. I'm actually looking it up right now because I'm very curious.
Oh yeah, it's a great time. I'm bringing it up because it legitimately is a great game, and not a ton of people have played it. It just came out in 2023.
Oh yeah.
It's got secrets like Doom. It's got beautiful brushwork. It's got cheat codes.
Cheat codes.
It has 3D rendered cutscenes using what looks to be 90s tech or 90s tech styled 3D. It is a great love letter to
that
whole
game.
era of gaming.
And so, what's your score there for it, Gio?
Definitely give it a yes.
Definitely give it a yes. Oh, sounds good. I'm guessing I'm seeing a lot of love for this from the chat. I'm also seeing most people are talking about Hypnospace before they're so I'm gonna guess that it gets a double yes from the chat, and for me it also gets a yes.
So you said you're actually looking it up because I think
I
you
did
would
look it up.
get a
One of the
kick out
things
of
that
that.
popped out to me, it does have that. It does have a little bit of that blown out colors palette. Not as intense as some of the one game that I was hoping it would be on the. I looked it up on the Steam store page, in the hopes that it would be mentioned as a sort of also like this kind of game, but I didn't see it. But it doesn't matter. It'll come to me at some point. Nope, not there.
There's Signalis, Ultra Kill.
Ultra Kill was on. I saw Ultra Kill on the page. Ultra Kill is definitely one of those kinds of games. But there's one that came out. It's basically specifically something that's supposed to look like the person that the character, the perspective of the character is on, is hopped up. If you catch my drift.
Oh, that sounds interesting. Yeah. So like slightly non-reliable narrator. That's always fun.
That's so Gio. I love to hear it. Is there anything we got a yes for Slayers X? What is it called again?
It's the full title is Slayers X: Terminal Aftermath: Vengeance of the Slayer.
One of the things that popped out to me right away when a video started autoplaying on the Steam page, which I liked the lower frame rate style. I feel like that's something that I kind of it's there's something about that really makes that retro style of a game work for me.
Yeah, I think it's got a capped frame rate. It has like Doom movement, so your movement's actually very fast. You have the I'm also at the store page, and I'm reminded how much I like the brushwork, where there aren't any models. Just everything in the game is made of these keyboards, basically, like Half-Life or Doom.
Well, I do love that. But Gio, we got some more callers coming in. I just want to give them an opportunity to speak. Thank you for your call.
Back to you, Robbie.
Back to you, Gio, and enjoy your life from this moment forward. All right. That was So that was super interesting. I love hearing about games like that. Oh, we got the zeros going. Sorry, the buttons are automatically hitting themselves. This is the same keyboard that I keep meaning to replace and not replacing. So every time that happens, it's a reminder to me to get my house in order, get my life in order, make some better decisions when I wake up in the morning and step out of bed to get a new keyboard. I mean, obviously, we got the microphone. That seems to be doing pretty well. This one turns, supposed to turn other colors, but I just see it turning red so far. Caller, you're on the air with EGI. Oh,
yeah.
What's the good news? Who are you? Where are you calling from?
My name's Pam, and I'm from Denver.
Hey, Pam from Denver. Nice to talk. I believe that we have talked before, if I'm not mistaken.
We have.
We
sure have.
What's the good news from the Mile High City? Sorry, I almost called it the Windy City.
That's okay. Well, I just got home from work, and I'm happy to see some EGI too.
Well, we're trying something different. Oh my God, the thing is going completely crazy. I'm gonna just go hit.
That's all right.
It's we're trying to something a little bit different. Because I got tired of not tired, but I just felt like I couldn't quite get my head around what to do on Wednesdays. So we decided to do a fully color focused show. For people that want to call in, and just because a lot of times people call in and or people chat in during the main show and they want to talk about a specific game, but we don't get a chance to talk about it because we have so many we've got the video game news, we've got various game of the year awards to give out, and so it's important, I think, to give people the opportunity to release all of that tension that they've built up when we can't get to the things that they want to talk about. Wait, I've already.
Yeah, I'm glad y'all.
People are saying that I moved the microphone away from myself, so I'm gonna try to move back a little bit more.
Okay. Yeah,
so,
I have my
Pam,
TV muted.
what are your thoughts? What are you thinking? What games are you thinking about?
I guess I'm gonna keep it with the more modern games. Right now, I'm playing Farming Simulator 22.
Farming Simulator. So you're one of the simulators. Simulators.
Yeah, I'm a big simulation kind of gal.
Do you play? So the only simulators that I've really played are obviously Train Simulator and some of the trains. I don't actually know if I play the official Train Simulator. If I've played the official Train Simulator, I've played.
Okay.
You know, there's 3 or 4 different franchises, and I've played one of them. And then Euro Truck Simulator is the other one I've played a lot of.
Oh, I've seen that. That does seem relaxing.
It's extremely relaxing, and as somebody when I have gone to Europe, I don't usually travel by car, so it's nice to get a different perspective on the landscape there.
Yeah, because I mean we're used to driving around the U.S. and it's you drive forever and you're still here, but in Europe you're in a completely different country, so that sounds a lot more interesting.
But here's the funny thing about it, Pam, is that I did drive a delivery truck at one point when I was living in Baltimore. So it also it's nice to it's almost like a way of processing what was a very stressful job at that time. And being able to drive a big rig, or not, they're not quite big rigs, but you know what I'm talking about. They're sort of medium-sized delivery trucks around and park them without fear of being ticketed or fear of event organizers coming out and chewing your ear off about nothing.
Mm-hmm. Is that the ones where it doesn't have a back window?
Which ones? Oh, well, I would
drive...
Like,
those giant vans and stuff?
Well, I mostly drove a Dodge Sprinter, which isn't quite that's also a medium one. And then I also drove a Ford Transit, and then at another job, when I worked in Washington as a art handler, we drove a box truck, and that didn't have a back window, and that was terrible.
Yeah, I don't know how people do it.
I don't know either, but I certainly enjoy the relaxing, less I would say better paved roads of Euro Truck Simulator 2. But you're talking about Farming Simulator.
I am.
So let's hear it.
I think my biggest complaint is that it's just too darn hard. The learning curve is so steep. Yeah, I have to look up basically everything. Like how to do it on the game. It does not hold your hand at all.
Are you playing?
It's
Are you
not
playing it with a
that intuitive.
controller? Are you playing with a keyboard? Are you playing with a fairly
I'm on
specialized?
console.
Oh, okay. Oh boy.
Yeah, I have a PS4.
Mm.
So I didn't play video games for a long time.
But somehow,
And I
Farming
bought
Simulator
a
got you back
PS4.
in. You said to yourself, you dusted off
Yep.
your PlayStation 4. You saw Farming Simulator in the store. You picked it
And
up.
that drew me
You
back
said,
in.
"This is what's going to
I
draw
just had
me
to
back
have
in."
it.
You a farming kid?
It was actually the Spyro remake, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
also the simulation games for sure.
Did you
But
grow
yeah,
up in
it's
proximities to farms? Did you grow up, or your family did some farming?
No,
What's
I
the
just
connection?
well, not really. No, I was just I was playing City Skylines for a while, and I got kind of bored with that, and I just wanted another simulation game because I like those games, and I was just googling games, and somebody was like, "Oh, if you like simulation games, you should do Farming Simulator," and I was like, "Cool," and so I set it up to download, and then I kept reading, and everyone was like, "Oh, it's really hard. You're going to have to look up every single thing to know how to do it." And they are correct. But I think I mostly have the hang of it now. It
Kind
just
of reminds me of every time I try to get into Warblade.
Oh, yeah. I don't think I played that. Is it where you
I
have
fired
to...
it up a few times and I kind of get the game started and I'm just like, what the hell's going on? And then everywhere it was big. Everybody online is just saying, oh, you got to read like, you know, this 300 page.
Yeah.
Oh
my God. Like a how-to.
Yeah, how-to, and it's just like we don't,
yeah.
you know, we do what we can. We try to find the things that we enjoy. To me, I want Warblade to just be more of a single-player Destiny, and obviously it's not that, and it never will be. So,
right.
But every once in a while, I just get the itch. I got to try it out for myself. But Farming Simulator, so you're on the combine. What beside? I always think Farming Simulator is just being combines.
It kind of is. I also don't think I know what a combine is. I don't know. There's like harvesters, and you just you get it, and you just go up and down the fields, and you harvest, and then you take the crops to a silo or a sell point, and there's animals you can tend to, or you can just drive around the map. So that's kind of nice. Once you have the hang of it.
Body harvesters. No, these are combine harvesters. Like in where's the combine harvesters? Dune.
Oh.
And then Vertical Mammal, of course, corrected me. I'm not talking about Warblade. I'm talking about Warframe. I'm pretty sure Warblade is one of those like God of War style games. I think that might have been what I thought Slayer's X was in my mind. I was thinking. Anyway, what is it the controls? Is it what's happening to what are you you just planting the wrong crops at the wrong time of year? What's happening to you?
Yeah, there's like you can turn off the season kind of thing. But yeah, like if you have that option on, you have to plant things during certain months and harvest them during certain months. It just doesn't tell you what you're supposed to do next, and it doesn't really explain what every machine does. So you either just have to know from farming, I guess, or you're just like me and you look up everything and watch a bunch of YouTube videos to see how people do it. Because I already spent $60, so you know I gotta get that 60 hours right to get my money's worth.
Because I know the PlayStation 4 doesn't have an onboard game time tracker. Does it at least track your time in your save file or anything like that?
Oh, I don't know. I guess I don't look that heavily into it. I just felt the need to get my money's worth.
Does it at least give you the opportunity if you just feel like you get home from work, you take it, you had a rough day, you get off the bus, you walk back into your apartment there, you turn on Farming Simulator, and then it allows you to just like jump right in and just start cutting down grass?
Yeah, you can. You can mow the grass on your lawn.
Well, thank God for that.
Once you get the hang of it, I mean, I guess you kind of figure it out. But I did pretty much have to look up everything for the first
from my perspective right now, Pam from Denver, it sounds like this. I can't quite tell if this is a yes or a no from you. But maybe if you'd prefer to give it a numerical score, we could work on that.
I mean, yeah, I guess it just depends on the person, right? You got to be patient and not get discouraged, which I'm not always. I think it's a yes for the right kind of person.
It's a yes for the right
Like if
kind of
you're
person.
okay with looking, yeah, if you're okay with looking up everything, or if you have a farming background
Mm-hmm.
and know what machines do, then it's probably good for you. But yeah, if you're the kind of person that gets frustrated easily, I wouldn't recommend it.
Well, I'm gonna
But
even though I love the idea of even though I like farming games, I've always enjoyed farming games somewhat. I do have to. I'm getting a little antsy with the amount of learning and reading that you might have to do to enjoy Farming Simulator. And also it's bringing up memories of trying to learn how to play Warframe. So it's a no from me.
Oh no!
Yeah, I think that's fair.
But from chat, I'd love to see what chat thinks about Farming Simulator.
Oh yeah, I kept getting disconnected from the chat. Well, I haven't. I'm curious. I don't know if you know. What is a better return rate for you? Patreon or Twitch? Like what do you get a higher percentage on?
That's a great
You
question.
personally.
Thank you for asking. It's we got a maybe from. I guess we should probably make a maybe button for these.
Yeah.
Currently,
maybe
the better return rate is definitely Patreon. But
Okay.
the reason that we haven't been promoting the Patreon as much is because we don't have anything to really offer from the Patreon. And when you do the subs to Twitch, we're starting to build up the amount special content you can get through Twitch. And then also the more subs that we have, the better chance that we have of being worked into the algorithm in a way that is favorable. So it's something that we don't quite, in the same way that I don't understand any of the items that are plugged into my computer right now and how to make them work properly. I don't quite understand how to make money off of these streams in a way that feels like a equitable exchange with the viewers. So if that sounds like a hedge, it's a hedge.
Okay. I mean, so I want you to know, I think you're a little hard on yourself. Honestly, I get a lot out of these streams. They make me very happy.
I appreciate that.
And the ability to support the things that have brought me so much joy, I want to take advantage of because I mean, most of the stuff I've watched of yours has been free to me, so I feel like it's time for me to pay back.
Well, I appreciate that, Pam, and I will say that at some point the Patreon things will probably have discount codes for merch and stuff like that once we are able to get those things up and running. So it's a kind of I would say it's since I guess I would be the dealer. I'm the house, so customer's choice.
Cool.
All
awesome.
Right.
Look, I'm speaking of the chat. That's wonderful. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Puppy Mouth.
Thank you, Pam, and thank you for Farm Simulator. It seems like we're gonna make a maybe button because of this conversation. So that's your contribution, and I appreciate it always.
All right. Well, thank you for being you and making all this wonderful content.
Thank you, Pam. And back to you, Pam. Caller, this is you've tried. Is this 917 number? This is New Yorker. Who are you? Where are you calling from?
This is Kat. I'm calling from Ithaca.
Of course, Kat from Ithaca. I'm sorry. There was two callers that were trying to get in from New York, and I was trying to get one of them, at least one of them in. But Kat, what's your news? What's your game review for this evening? And what's happening? And have we been fair to Farming Simulator? I gave it a no for me.
Well, I haven't played Farming Simulator, but based on what Pam was saying about it, I don't know if I would like it that much, so I gave it a maybe. I think a maybe button is a good idea.
A maybe button is a good idea, and I'm kicking myself for not having it ready for this. But that's why we start the shows off with the number one, and then we go from number one to number two, and onward from there.
That's right. We're always learning on this show, which is why it's so great.
Oh, God Almighty. Okay, Kat, what's the deal? What's your game?
So I was gonna just be very basic and review Portal.
All right.
Even though I'm sure everyone knows about Portal, I would think. But
and Portal obviously didn't get any awards during the EGR2's 2007 Game of the Year awards. So why not give it another shot in the spotlight? It's a classic game. It's a party game. People that love to party love Portal, and it's a party of, I would say it's a cathedral is what it is. It's a cathedral of tight gameplay and well conceived mechanics.
I like that. It is a cathedral, and I was a little upset that it didn't win anything at the 2007 Game Awards. So I feel like I do need to bring it back up just a little bit. So obviously I love Portal. I think it's I guess not a 10 out of 10 because nothing's perfect, but like a 9.9 out of 10 probably for me.
9.9, you think 9.9 maybe for this? I think I would think a 10 out of 10 for Portal 2. Solid 9 for me out of Portal, but obviously you're giving it a much higher decimal point. And is there what is it about Portal besides that draws you in like that?
Well, part of it I think is just nostalgia. I played that when I was younger, and I really loved it. And I think, well, I also love Portal 2, and you're probably right that Portal 2 is a higher score, but I would give it a 9.99 because I don't think anything is perfect, so I have to stay away from 10.
Knock it a little bit. I mean, if there's anything, you got to just knock it for not being long enough.
Portal 1?
Yeah.
Yes, I think that is a good point. It is a pretty short game. I think it was less of an issue for me because I'm really bad at video games, so it just takes me a long time to play them anyways. So I didn't finish the game. Was like, oh, that was short. I was just like, oh, I could play more of that. And then I could play more of that because Portal 2 came out.
There's something about the stillness of Portal that I really appreciate. I mean, even though there are those machine guns that pop out at you every once in a while, the quietness of it is something that I've always really appreciated. It's a fairly meditative game, even though a lot of times when you're actually getting into the jumping through portals and falling through portals and what have you, things do get a bit speedy. But there are those moments of just I think the contemplation element of Portal has always I feel like I haven't quite gotten that same feeling from other puzzle games.
Yeah, that's very true. I think I definitely like that it's more puzzle focused. Those are in general the kind of games that I like. I mean, I think the turrets they're too cute to make it feel like to make me anxious when I'm playing and the turrets are there. But I think it's fun. It's great if you love puzzles and if you like when there's a hot robot lady who's kind of mean, and if you like silent protagonists. And it has all those things.
Is hot.
Her voice definitely is. I guess she is kind of she's just like a robot.
She's just like a microphone arm.
Yeah, I guess. Okay, maybe her physical appearance.
I'm not knocking nobody for nothing.
Okay, I feel like people in the chat can support me maybe on this. I feel like that's an accurate description of Gladys. People are saying
what yes. I want to know is what I'm sure, and I'm sure Gabe Newell in his little tower and up there in Seattle is always scheming on something. But I know we all know there's some narrative connection between Portal and Half-Life, don't we?
Yeah, that's true. I also like Half-Life a lot, and I think the fact that it takes place in the same universe, but they don't really, like, you can play Portal and obviously that it's kind of post-apocalyptic, but you don't know why or how unless you've played Half-Life. I think that's kind of cool.
You know what? You're just reminding me, Kat, that I haven't actually played the Portal game that comes with that launched with the Steam Deck. I'm gonna do that.
Wait, which one?
There was it's a kind of Portal. It's called like Portal Desktop Simulator or something like that. Yeah, Vertical Man, the desk job one. It's probably not a fully fleshed game. It's just something that it's designed to help you. It's kind of like what's the Playroom one for the PlayStation 5, so you understand how the controller works. Aperture Desk Job. Thank you, Vertical Mammal. Vertical Mammal's
Wow.
really been really achieved a great deal this on this day with in terms of fact checking the show. So I appreciate you. I do believe that you can also play Aperture Desk Job with just regular. Do you have to have a Steam Deck?
I don't have a Steam Deck, so I did not know that that game existed. But
Oh, yeah.
now I'm kind of sad that I haven't played it.
Well, I've got to say that if there's one system that I would recommend to just about anyone on Earth, it would be a Steam Deck. I've absolutely been having a blast with mine. But I'm not here to sell Steam Decks. I'm here to listen to you. So what you're saying Portal gets a 9.99 out of 10. It's an obvious yes from Kat.
Yes, it's definitely a yes. Yes on gameplay. Definitely yes on music. I love that song at the end.
Got it. I mean, I listened to that I gotta say that I listened to that song on loop for like about 3 months straight after I played Portal for the first time. So it's a yes from me. I'm gonna go ahead and guess it's also a yes from chat. And Kat, do you have anything have anything else to add?
I don't have anything else to add. I'm glad people like Portal. I love it a lot. Still feel like it deserves something at the 2007 Game Awards, but I'm prepared to let it go now that I've gotten to talk about it.
2007. Well, there's no guarantee that we're not going to be going back and revisiting the 2007 Game of the Year awards anyway. So thank you for your call, Kat. Stay warm up there in Ithaca. I heard a storm might be coming. Caller, you're on the air with EGI 2's U Game Reviews. One. There's not. Oh, we don't put the word stream in it yet. It's just one.
Hi, this is Danny from Philly.
Hey, Danny from
How's
Philly.
it going?
Nice to talk to you.
Yeah, it's nice to be back. It's been a long time since I called in,
I know,
but I'm excited.
I was trying to remember the last time. I know I talked to Catherine from Philly somewhat recently. I believe that was just on Monday, but we haven't talked to you in a while. What's the good news from the city of brotherly love?
Well, the weather was really nice today, and I actually wanted to let you know that there's a game I've been playing. It's not the game that I want to review, but I am almost at the amount of hours that like equal to the amount of money that was spent.
Well, $1 per one gameplay hour. Yes.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm almost there, and I think I'm going to actually surpass it, which makes me very happy that I was able to get that value and more. The game is Persona 3 Reload. Granted, I was already a fan of the game.
Oh man, these Persona games. God almighty.
Yeah, it's long. Yeah, well, I'm just a fan, but I didn't really call in to talk about Persona. I actually called in to talk about a game called Superstar Dance Club #1 Hits. Is this a game that you've heard of?
This is not a game that I've heard of. What's the scoop? What's the good news about Superstar?
Well, it is a game that I have a lot of love for in my heart, but I don't really think is necessarily like a good game. It's for the PS1. It came out around 2001, and it is a like dance rhythm game. It's in Japanese. It's called Love Para Musume, I think, and it's because it's based off of a certain type of dance called para para in Japan, where it's mostly consisting of arm movements and like walking in place. So it's a rhythm game, but I actually won it at Dave & Buster's. Like I had enough points to like win it with like a DDR mat for the PlayStation 1.
Whoa.
So it was compatible with like a plug-in mat that you could plug into your PlayStation.
Uh-huh.
And I played like that for a while, but I actually ended up playing it a lot more plugged in with a regular controller. I found it more enjoyable just playing with the regular controller. But it's a basic rhythm game. It's similar to like Parappa the Rapper, where you have button prompts to like a tempo.
Love Para Lovely Tokyo Parappa Girl with Obi that's the title that's coming up for me.
That might be it. I'm not sure. It might have a couple different titles. I'm not looking at any information. I'm kind of just like remembering off the top of my head. So you might be right.
I can see on the back of the box here that it. I mean, it's a lot of kanji mixed in with English. So it's I'm guessing that this is the game, but I can see on the back screenshots here that it's definitely a rhythm game, definitely a dancing game, definitely a party game. We do love to talk about party games that party people want to play, and this sounds like one of them. And you won it at Dave and Buster's?
I did, yeah. I won it at Dave and Buster's. It like came with the DDR mat, and mainly I was getting points to win the DDR mat that I could connect to my PS2, and I didn't realize that it like came with the game. But then I ended up playing the game and being obsessed with the game way more than like actually using the DDR mat. And my mom was really disappointed about that because she was like excited that I had a way to exercise, and then I just ended up playing with a controller. So yeah.
So what is it? Well, I mean, what's special about this one? Sorry, I'm really getting stuck on the fact that of all the games that you could win it at Dave and Buster's, it's just a weird Japanese import.
Yeah, well, it was like a simple 2000 game in Japan, so it was like a budget title.
Right.
Like simple 2000 games, for those that don't know, like they're like 2,000 yen. They're like they're set to like a budget price. So there's a lot of them that are really good. There's like a PS1 one that it's like a train simulator that's really fun and interesting, and I think one was covered on the show as well with a really giant lady. I don't know what that one was called, but I think that was also a simple 2000 game.
All right.
Yeah. But yeah, it was just like bundled with, but it was called Superstar Dance Club #1 Hit.
Superstar Dance Club #1 Hit, and then so it did come. Wait, you're saying that it did come out in the West?
Yeah, it did.
Oh, that's so interesting. Because I would have. That's because I played a lot. I remember there being a bunch of like $20 like budget PlayStation games that came out in like a big chunk, probably, and I'm gonna say like 1999. And I played a few of them, and they were all like pretty derivative third person, action mech or driving games. But
yeah, definitely.
It's surprising. I'm so disappointed that I missed out on this one because I was such a big. I loved rhythm games for a time, and this sounds like a great one. So it's a yes for me.
It's a yes for me. I mean, it's definitely okay. It's not the best rhythm game. It's fine. It's on Steam, but it's got mixed reviews.
I mean, you can't always go back, and you can't relive the life that you wished you could have lived at the time that the life was. Oh man, we're hearing a little bit of stuff in the chat that my mic's a little bit too low, so I'm gonna try and turn that up while you're on the. Oh, hey.
You got it.
Weird. The volume of my microphone went down.
You sound good on my end, but...
That's really bizarre. My microphone volume dropped to 20 points somehow automatically. So I don't know if that's something that I should this PC is crazy. You drop water on the keyboard one time, everything goes completely bananas.
Listen, streaming is hard. Getting used to the tech is hard. You're doing an awesome job considering. So don't feel discouraged. You're doing great, and we're enjoying it.
What I figure is that if I just add enough layers to the thing that people see, the frame that people see when they turn on the stream, then that'll at least get people interested for long enough to stick by and maybe bash that follow button.
That's right. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit that button to get a notification.
Definitely like subscribe only if you feel like if you feel that the spirit moves you. We don't want to take money from people unnecessarily, but we do also desperately need more money. So thank you for your call, and I think I saw in the chat that you're sitting in the same room as Catherine.
Yes, I will say hi to Catherine.
So
for you.
Tell Catherine that EGI2's U Game Reviews says hello.
Okay, I will. Thank you.
Bye. See you later.
Oh, bye, Catherine. There we go. All right.
All right, bye. Thank you.
Now we're having a party. Okay. Next up on EGI2's U Game Reviews, caller, you're on the air with U Game Reviews. What's the good news? What do you want to review? Sorry, Danny. I think I said Janny at one point. Did I call Danny Janny?
Hello?
Caller, you're on the air with EGI2's
Yeah.
game reviews. What's going on?
Yeah, this is Avi from Queens. I would like to review. I like weird games, and there's the standards like WarioWare. Some of you may know stuff like Bishi Bashi Special, but there's one game I remember playing as a kid or a teenager that seems to have fallen by the wayside. It's called WTF Work Time Fun.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
Now, for those of you who don't,
I haven't heard about that game in a long, long time. Man, unbelievable.
Yeah.
Let me see. I want to pull up. I want to see if I can pull up the screen of that because you just scratched an itch I didn't even know I had. But go off, King.
So for those of you who don't know, it's actually a sequel to a game that was only released in Japan. Only Work Time Fun was released in the U.S. And here's the premise: you're in hell, and not only are you in hell, but you have to go to hell's unemployment office. And the demons there give you temp jobs. And those temp jobs are little mini games. And, sometimes you're the guy who throws baseballs to the catcher or the pitcher. Sometimes you're a guy assembling pens in a factory. Other times you're a lumberjack and you have to chop the logs and not the cute little animals that get thrown the way.
It's such an interesting game.
Other times,
I'm so glad that someone has brought it up because I haven't thought about this game in quite a long time.
It's a very deranged game. Sometimes instead you're just crossing the street and trying to grab mushrooms and not get hit by cars. And sometimes you're running from a giant monster. And for all of this, you're rewarded with pocket change. And you spend that pocket change on vending machines, which 90% of the time give you useless trinkets. 5% of the time give you a new job. And the other 5% of the time you get a little tool, which could be anything from a hand light to a pair of eyes to a ramen timer that when you activate it plays a full motion video clip of either a man in a Speedo or a woman in a bikini. And the version I played was hilariously badly dubbed.
Oh my goodness! Wait, and what was the original platform here? Because I just pulled up the screenshot that I just pulled in was a. I should do this for all the games. I'll pull in screenshots for all.
PlayStation Portable.
It was okay. So because I was trying to remember if there was an original PlayStation version because you said it was a follow up to another game, didn't you?
Now, that was on PlayStation. It was called like Groove Hell 5 or
Oh man, it wasn't okay. So it wasn't.
Or Groove Hell V.
Wasn't one I was thinking of. But these types of it's great to see these games come back in every once in a while because the one that I feel like we've probably talked about on the show before is Panic on the Sega CD, which is kind of the one that I think of that's the only of these types of weird button basher mini game single screen. I don't know what you would call this exactly. I guess it's just mini game games that.
Oh, this looks fun.
It was one of the first ones that came west, and really was one of my favorite games on the Sega CD.
Oh, I'm looking up now on Game FAQs. I love the art style
for Panic.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's a really fun game. Definitely, if you're into these types of games, it's worth. Oh, Incredible Crisis, everything now. That was the one.
I was about to say Incredible Crisis. I actually may have seen a clip of Panic on Cinematech. I was watching Cinematech on YouTube.
What the hell is Cinematech?
So you know how you watch people play video games on Twitch? It used to be you actually have to turn on G4 and watch a half hour of video game footage and trailers.
Oh, okay. See, I didn't.
And
I wasn't much privy to the existence of G4 when it was going on.
Yeah, that's actually what I work out to. I work out to a show that's just a showcase of video game footage.
That's quite impressive. When I work out, I usually listen to the audio edition of The Economist or mostly just articles read aloud by the
or I ripped the soundtrack from the soundtrack files from Grand Theft Auto Vice City and just listened to that.
You know what? Great. Soundtrack. I think gets a short shrift in this modern age in which we were living. Is it OB? What was the name again from Queens?
Oni.
Oni. Sorry, I had written down OB for some reason. Oni from Queens. The one that I been thinking about.
Oh, sorry. No, Avi.
Oh, Avi. AVI.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Avi from Oni. What?
I thought you were talking about a video game. There is an Oni for PC. It was developed by Bungie.
Well, I know. It was also on PlayStation 2, don't forget. And I believe it was one of the... Was it? It wasn't a launch title. Anyway, Avi from Queens... the game that I'm thinking of with the soundtrack that is oftentimes paved over is Eternal Champions Challenge for the Dark Side for the Sega CD, because someone in the chat mentioned that you could pop in the disc for Panic into a regular CD player and get the music tracks off of that, which was not the music tracks, but I guess music and sound effects. But Eternal Champions CD also had that ability. A lot of those older CD-ROM games had that option.
Yeah, I was always wondering how that worked.
Just CD-ROMs. That was
CD-ROM magic.
That was what the magic of CD-ROMs was. The fact that you had like actually good quality sound.
So Mossy Love mentioned Tulip. I've seen a lot of streamers I watch play that.
Mr. Radical Ed says track 1 data. Love to see that. Love that. Sometimes you would actually get like a weird, insane hell noise when you would hit the first track of some of those PS1 or Saturn or Sega CD games. Absolute fun stuff. And it's fun. It's fun to think of WTF, because now I'm wondering if I might. I've got a hacked PS Vita. Don't tell the upper decks at Sony. Don't tell the gray shirts. But now I've got something I can think about maybe pursuing in terms of ROMs.
Yeah. Now here's the question.
Okay.
How to grade this game? I'm going to say not for everyone. But if you are looking for something truly different and you're a little bit offbeat, you're the kind of person who isn't into like the more mainstream games, and you just want to play something that is unlike anything else, this is absolutely a yes.
It's a yes. It's a yes from Avi from Queens. It's a yes from me. Because I do love these kind of single screen, I feel like calling them mini game collections is doing it a disservice, because it is there is a singular vision behind them usually, and I think that's especially when it comes to stuff like Panic and Incredible Crisis.
Okay, before I go, one more thing.
All right.
The guy who created this game was actually arrested for cocaine possession. Do with that what you will.
I mean, everybody's got their low points. I've never dusted myself, but some people just felt the need at that time period in their lives when it was available to them. So I pass no judgment on it, despite the fact that I do think that of all the drugs that you could possibly do, it's probably just in terms of the splash damage of the industry itself.
Yeah, and he was also the voice of Olaf in the Japanese version of Frozen.
Wow. Well.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, nice talking to you.
Nice talking to you too, Avi, and sorry for mixing up your name earlier. We've got time, I think, for at least one more call, and just having a great time. But I do want to say that I do have a bus to catch to get to the pool, so I can get I want to try and get a good hour and 15 minutes of lap work done, just because I do have I've got to work. I've been told that I need to get strengthen my core, and that one of the quickest ways to get your core strength back is by swimming laps. Caller, you're on the air with EGI2's U Game Reviews 1. What's the scoop? Are you liking what the show is so far? Or are you having a good time?
I'm having a fantastic time, Robbie. This is Paul from Boston. How are you?
Paul from Boston. It's the city that never sleeps. Boston, the city by the bay, the and what's
the town of many beans. So I'm told.
Many beams. Many beams.
Yes.
Like wood.
No, beans as in like a bean that you would eat.
What?
Yeah, Beantown.
Just regular beans?
Like baked beans.
Baked beans? Boston baked beans. Okay, now it took me a second.
Okay, we got there in the end. It's okay. It's okay.
Maybe coffee beans, because the Dunkin' thing, and just chickpeas because there's there's a lot of people
Right,
that
right.
moved there from the Mediterranean.
Well. Anyhow, let's talk some video games. Well, I recently picked up my very first Sega Saturn,
Oh
which
my
has an
goodness gracious!
ODE emulator.
Congratulations! These other buttons here. So you get the I like that button. I want to make sure that the I like that. Give me 1 second here. The problem is that the audio input is not. Fix that later. Okay, so when the I like that button comes up, I actually we cut out for a second there. So apologies to the chat for that. But Boston time, it's a party town. People go party. Boston, get the beans, the chickpeas, and the bake. Get them, and what do you got?
Right, and right now, what's hot in Boston really is Virtual On the Sega Saturn, played with the imported twin sticks from Japan.
Ooh, I'm a jealous son of a gun right now. Let me tell you, I was such a big Virtual On fan when it came out on the Sega Saturn. I played the heck out of it. I never would have in my life had at that time in my life would I dream I would have been able to play it with the original twin stick controller. But you got it.
It's a dream that you could hardly even cast if you tried. It's really beautiful. And what I found out, Robbie, is that it's a difficult game, and I'm not good enough at it with the twin sticks to actually complete it.
What's the holdup? Because that to me that's what makes the game easier to play. And Cinnamina, I see you, and we might if we don't talk about Princess Maker 2 tonight, we'll talk about it next Wednesday. But I feel like that's the natural order. That's the way things it should be done.
It does feel natural, and honestly, Robbie, I'm disappointed in myself. So I wondered if maybe you had any Virtual On tips.
I mean, just stick with it. Don't let yourself down. I wish that there was I believe that there was an online mode at some point for the Sega Saturn Virtual On, or maybe they re-released it with an onload. Yeah, so if there's some way to find some kind of a hack server that allows you to play the original Virtual Ontario. Is it Tangram? Or is that for the Dreamcast?
Nope, that's for the Dreamcast. I have that one too, though.
Then try to play it online with people. They can just get your skills up before you go back into the main game. But it's such a fun game, and it's got such a great aesthetic. I must say that the Dreamcast one is a great game too. But there's something about just the amount of clipping and pixelation on the edges of those polygons in the original Virtual On. That's what does it for me.
Oh yeah, it's Chef Kiss beautiful. It's fantastic.
So you got your first Sega Saturn. You got Virtual On. What else did you pick up?
Oh, let's see. So actually, it's got one of those ODE emulators on it with an SD card full of games that I picked up on eBay.
You're a sneaky boy.
Yeah. Well, have you seen the prices on those things? Forget about it.
I mean, I paid my rent 1 month by selling Panzer Dragoon Saga.
Oh my gosh, that is one I have not cracked into yet.
Well, I mean, that's the one. That's one of the ones to do it. That and Dragon Force. That's I would say top 5 games that you don't want to have to pay for after you finish. After you, of course, you want to master or get over the hump with Virtual On here, but Dragon Force. Really any of the Working Designs games, but especially Dragon Force, Panzer Dragoon Saga, Panzer Dragoons Y. And it's actually I wouldn't say. Let me think about that for a second. Just give me 1 second to mull this over.
There's a lot going on in that category in the Saturn. I've learned. I am on the last dungeon of Albert Odyssey, and I got hopelessly lost.
That's another
very difficult dungeon.
Yeah, that was one of the Working Designs ones I was thinking of. Man, those are so fun. And so it's such a special time. I actually think that Legend of Oasis gets a bad rap, or maybe not necessarily a bad rap, but doesn't get a lot of love.
Well, I'm going to give it some love for you.
Oh, but love to hear it. So Virtual On sounds like it's a yes from you.
Yes.
And it's a yes from me.
I would give it like a 7.5.
You think it's 7.5? I would maybe, especially even with the controller, I would it's at least an 8 for me. Maybe even 8.2.
I'll tell you what, I will revisit this once I actually finish the game with the controller so I can give it a fair review, because I've only completed about 60% of it.
Actually, you know what? I've just remembered something. I think some of the best games that you could play on original Saturn hardware. Is it running? I guess it is. Even with the SD
It
card,
is, yeah.
it must be running. Okay, so it's running. Play the lobotomy games, the Power Slave, Quake, and Duke Nukem 3D.
Ooh, I will try that. I've tried Gun Griffin too, which actually works very well with it.
Gun Griffin is man. The first Gun Griffin was just probably one of a fairly life-changing game for me. It really, I wasn't a big mech kid at all, but that game really set it for me. And then the first few Armored Cores after that.
I am an old school Mech Warrior nerd, and I would say that having played the Mech Warrior Saturn version and Gun Griffin 2, Gun Griffin 2 does Mech Warrior better on Saturn than Mech Warrior.
I mean, no, you won't hear me disagreeing on that at all. Well, thank you. It's Virtua Fighter 2. Someone's saying Virtua Fighter 2 on the Saturn, also worthwhile. Virtua Fighter's Mega Mix is great. I feel like we've talked about that.
Oh, that is a good one. And I really want to know why Virtua Fighter's Kids exist. My fiance and I were playing that and wondering why we were playing a game designed about beating up children. It's a very weird experience, but a good game.
It's just running the Virtua Fighter. It's mostly just Virtua Fighter 2, but with like slightly larger impact boxes.
Oh, I see.
I'm sure there's a lot more nuance there, but I'm not good enough at fighting games to express it.
Oh yeah, me either.
I mean, I'm so glad that you got. You said you're a fiance. When's the ceremony?
We'll get back to you on that.
Oh, son.
Ooh.
All right. Well, thank you for your call. Enjoy the Saturn, and call us back once you get deeper into that Saturn library, because goodness gracious, is there some fun to be had?
Will do, Robbie. I'll be back.
And looks like Virtual On also gets a yes from chat. So we got to give it for that. We'll just do one more call. Caller, you're on the air with EGI2's You Game Reviews 1. What's the news?
The news is that I guess everything is okay today. It's a nice sunny day in California. But I guess in terms of game to review, I'd like to bring Trespasser, the game based on Jurassic Park: The Lost World.
Love to hear it. I love 100%. I'm right there with you. Let's hear your thoughts.
So I'm gonna get right to I guess the yes no scoring. Gameplay is a yes. I know people have qualms about the kind of the oh yeah. I guess I'm getting to controls too. Controls are yes. I know people have problems with the way you control and how everything you have to use your mouse and kind of just move everything physically and whatnot, but it came out at a time when no other game was doing that, and that's a little crazy as hell, and it just kind of breaks all the rules of what you would expect out of the game.
I remember I remember reading an article about Trespasser in Next Generation magazine, and it was talking about how they how much time they had spent on making the Velociraptor's claws hug the edge of boxes whenever the dinosaurs would jump on top of jump on top of boxes, and that was a big deal that they had gotten to that point in terms of game design. And I do think at some point
they had some really advanced AI developed for that. The dinosaurs actually had different emotions.
Yes.
I mean, when it did come out, it didn't work 100% of the time, but again, no other game was trying to do that ever.
I do think that we'll have Stephen Kick back on at some point in the future. Stephen Kick from Night Dive, and we gotta rake that son of a gun over the coals a little bit, because I know that they're always cooking up remasters.
A remastering of that game would be so excellent.
What Trespasser?
I guess
was it a Lost World?
Re-Trespass.
Re-Repass?
Re-Trespass.
Retread. How about Trespasser Retread?
Yeah, I think that's the one. But yeah,
mark it down.
I guess the score for me would be a 7 and 7.9 out of 10.
7.9.
I don't know. Again,
wow.
Some people retrospectively don't look at it too highly, but I mean, here's the thing. This is a game that would later go on and inspire Valve to make both Half-Life 2 and Half-Life Alyx.
Absolutely.
And those games are pretty big, and plenty of others as well end up kind of taking I guess the game design.
Well, I think also the folks that made behind Stalker and the Metro series were also deeply inspired by Trespasser, and I want to say there was one other company
Far Cry. Crytek,
yes.
when they were
Crytek,
developing Far
yeah.
Cry, I think they were looking at that game 100%.
So it's a 7.9 out of 10 for you. It's probably around. I want to say
7.9 actually. But yeah.
What did I say?
10.9, but
oh, I
okay.
said 7. Well, I'm slurring my words a little bit because I have been talking for a couple hours straight. But 7.9 out of 10 from you. Probably in the sixes for me. A high 6, 6.6 out of 10. Especially because there is a good modding community for Trespassers these days. So we know that there is some quality of life improvements if you decide to. I guess, can you buy it anymore?
You gotta dig through. You gotta either go to eBay and kind of just hunt for it, or your local game shop if they even have PC games still, or go find it the cool way at Internet Archive.
It's got what we want to say. In Mossy Lump, I think you just kind of touched on the nose of that. Here is that it's a game that has a great deal of love for it. And there's a lot of people who see that it was never allowed to reach its full potential and working behind the scenes to make sure it does at some point in the future. So that's it. It's a yes from me.
Yeah, I'd agree. I'm glad that there's still people out there just looking to build this game up.
So
I hope
it's a yes from him?
It does reach that. Yeah, the most ideal state. And again, yes, I think that's a great idea. Get Stephen Kick on this. I think there's a lot of potential here.
I had a whole list of games that I was gonna. My goal for the next Stephen Kick interview, and you heard it here first, is to somehow get him to spill his guts, because I think if I rush at him with a list of games, I think I'll be able to see what kind of secret business that him and his little cabal have been up to, because there's a lot of games that I want to see get the Night Dive treatment, or at least if Night Dive isn't doing it, then maybe they know one of the other companies that have been doing them. Want to say Aspire? Is that's one of the ones that does remasters? Anyway, Vertical Mammal, do you think you ever get Tim Rogers on? Who's Tim Rogers?
Tim Rogers is like a video game video essay. I only remember him from what's it called? Action Button?
Is that the guy from Kotaku?
Yeah. I think he did work there. My memory's kind of blurry.
Well,
yeah.
We got it. Any suggestions of people to look up and look into? I've also my goal for Stephen Kick is that I make him my friend and also Allan's friend, and then we get him to give us get us more, not better, but more people like that to come in and get the EGI2 treatment.
Well, certainly. Yeah, I guess if there's any other game, you should get Stephen Kick to maybe remaster. I guess Reslash is a. I'm not going to review it because I already reviewed the game, but it's Mach X.
I mean, I wanted to. Love to see that. I'd also love to see somebody pull out the PlayStation 2 Mach X sequel that I don't think they ever quite finished, and I keep meaning to double check that, but sounds like
I think that's actually like a weird remake, remake of the Dreamcast game where they made it third person.
Yeah, and, so we'll call it a follow up then. And that's it. That's the show. What did you think?
This is a great show. I am excited to see where more of these reviews go, and I'm glad to have contributed to it. Back to you, Robbie.
So we had a good suggestion for a maybe button that we hit. I definitely need to add in, make sure that you can be heard when I hit the yes or the no button, that we could keep the conversation going through that. But then also, hi Paul from Boston. I see. Thank you. Disappointed there aren't more screenshots on the screen. I think what we'll probably try to do is that I'll try to drag in screenshots from as we're talking about the games onto the screen, and then as we switch from one game to the next, we'll put the screenshots in the back of the.
If it comes down to it, you could probably do what Allan does and just get like an iPad and show the screenshots.
Well, I've got this beautiful spread behind me. I don't want to have to populate the screen anymore. But I do, and I don't necessarily like working on the computer while I'm doing the stream. But I do think that it would be helpful, especially with that WTF one, because that one was so exciting. I want to get that same treatment for some of the other games. But
got it.
Any last thoughts?
Just keep going, and you will be treated well in life, and don't be a criminal, or else Allan will get you.
Don't be a criminal is a great last thing to say. If you tried calling tonight and we didn't get to you, we'll get back to you next Wednesday, because I do think that there's some room to grow with this particular stream, and we'll see you guys on Monday the 18th for EGI2 stream 14, and we do have one. I'm just gonna let this last person come in and say something. What caller, you're on the air with EGI2? Any last words for EGI2 U Game Reviews 1?
Oh gosh, I'm trying to remember. Peter Gabriel's Eve for PC. It's a very weird, very trippy game where it's like an Adam and Eve plot, and you gotta get his music back in like bits and pieces. It's really weird. I'll try to go into more detail in another stream. You're wrapping up, so I'll just leave it at that. It's very trippy.
All right. Thanks. Good night.